Howdy, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Pup and Away podcast. My name is Steph. You may know me as Steph the Pro Dog Mom. I am a certified dog trainer, canine nutritionist, canine behaviorist, and the very proud owner of Pup and Away in San Antonio, Texas, where we specialize in pet care with the behavioral edge. Welcome back. It's another episode. I am really excited about this one. It was a super fun conversation with a fellow holistic pet health care coach. I will get that title right one of these days. His name is Dom. He is my neighbor. He's also one of my employees. So it's just a super fun conversation. Dom is a certified holistic pet health coach. There you go. And certified professional canine nutritionist, as well as an inspiring dog trainer and the founder of DW Pet Health Coaching. He specializes in guiding pet parents toward optimal health and wellness for their fur babies through holistic root cause approach. Drawing from the principles of traditional Chinese veterinary medicine, targeted nutrition, he helps families better understand their dog's unique needs, supporting everything from balanced diets to overall vitality and longevity. His mission is to empower pet parents with the knowledge and tools they need to help their dog thrive naturally. So without further ado, guys, let's hop into our conversation with Dom. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Pup and Away podcast. I'm really excited about today's episode because I definitely feel like this is going to be a lot more like back and forth conversation, because today I am here with Dom Warfield. I mean, you have Dominic. Do you go by Dom? I mean, I call you Dom. What would you like the listeners to know you as?
I always tell people, I always introduce myself as Dominique, and then, if people just call me Dom from there, I'm like, all right, we're buddies, we're friends. So I leave it literally up to the person. Okay,
same. Literally, I said Stephanie Garza down at the bottom. I think, professionally, I'm Stephanie, but if you call me Steph, I'm happy. We're buds, like you said.
Yeah.
We're down for that. Very cool. So, Dom, tell us a little bit about you, and I guess kind of how you got your start, because you're still in the beginning realms of your career, but also you've done some really cool and exciting things. So tell us who Dom is.
Yeah. So I started out not in the pet space at all. Never thought I was going to get into the pet space, but I graduated college with a degree in advertising, went into the realm of advertising, and that led me to working with a brand called Just Food for Dogs, and I did a pro bono project for them, and that's really what got my start into the pet space, because before then I just was like, you're feeding people food to your pets? That's crazy. That's absurd. It's just kibble, nothing kibble, milk bones, all the conventional stuff.
Yeah.
But the owner and founder of that brand, meeting with him and talking to him gave me this mind-blowing experience. And at the time I was fostering a little Chihuahua puppy, and I remember being on a call virtually, because it was during the pandemic, and he's telling me how horrible conventional kibble is and things like that. And I remember I looked at this dog that was sitting behind me, looked back at him, looked at the bowl of kibble, and I was like, I got to make some changes. And that's kind of what led me into pet nutrition and the pet space. And then I eventually left advertising and wanted to pursue working with pets full time. So now I'm a certified holistic pet health coach, a certified canine nutritionist, and working to becoming a dog trainer.
Yeah. So, and then enter how we met. So I think it's a pretty serendipitous way, because so I live in San Antonio, Texas. Dom now lives in San Antonio, Texas, but you've been here for how long?
In San Antonio or in Texas?
In San Antonio.
I've been in San Antonio for 2 years, I think.
2 years?
Yeah,
okay.
2 years.
So that's when the magic started to happen, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I was on Facebook one day, on my neighborhood, Facebook, whatever, and I see Dom pop up, who I'd never met before. And it was like, hey, I'm a canine nutritionist in the neighborhood. And I was like,
hold the phone. Number one, there's another nutritionist like in my neighborhood. We live like really far west side of San Antonio in a pretty new development. And so I was like super excited. So I reached out to Dom right away and I was like, I cannot believe that there's another certified nutritionist with the same certification that I have. And then you also have your holistic pet health coach certification. And I'm in the program for that right now. And so I reached out and I was like, can we meet? Can we go for coffee? Can we hang out? Can we just like see what happens? So we met up at a coffee shop and Dom, fun question. What was your first impression of me?
Ooh.
No consequences.
First impression, I legit, okay, so for those of y'all that know Steph, like, this may not be accurate, but I thought she was a little standoffish because I walk into the coffee shop, I see her out of my periphery, and mind y'all, this is our first time ever meeting.
First meeting.
So, like, I see her out of my periphery, she's already got her drink, she's on her phone, she looks like she's handling business, and I'm waiting for, like, maybe she'll wave and be like, oh my God, hey, and like come up to me. No, she stays locked into her phone. So I go up, I order my drink, and then once I turn around, she's then like, oh my God, hey, and then it's that. So first impression, I was like, standoffish, all about her business.
I mean, still true, but
Yeah. All about her business, but not standoffish.
Okay. I like that. I like that approach better. Yeah. So we sit down and we just start having conversation. I, find out about Dom and where he's been, and of course that retail store or the advertising story that you just mentioned. Hear that you're working for one of my competitors, doggy daycare competitor, and we won't mention their name.
Yeah,
but
we won't mention
immediately I was like, I need this guy on my team. We are so well aligned in everything that we do. Everything that we think as far as like pet health and all the stuff. You said you wanted to become a dog trainer, and I'm like, Dom, why are you working over there? They're not dog trainers. Like, I can do that. I can help you out with that. So it took, I planted the seed, and then it took a couple months for the seed to sprout.
Yeah, I want to say that was before Feed Reel.
Yeah. So Feed Reel was in October, and I think you and I had met. I think when you and I had met, you hadn't signed up for Feed Reel just yet. You were still kind of on the fence about it, I think. So it must have been maybe like August.
Yeah, I want to say August. So
and then even by Feed Reel, you still were not one of my employees, right? Yeah. So it was like not until November.
Yeah, started in November.
Cool. Yeah. So I shamelessly poached Dom from my competitor. And yeah, he's been on my team since about November-ish. And so tell us a little bit about what you do at Pup Pup, Don.
Yeah, so Steph tried to poach me originally, and I think it didn't work initially because I never saw myself wanting to be in a group setting of dogs. But at Pup Pup, in a way, I am a daycare tech, so I'm managing a little bit of that like group interaction at Pup Pup, and it's different than when I was at my competitor because my competitor was hundreds of dogs at any given moment. And at Pup Pup, it's 12-to-1 ratio, so that's 12 dogs per one person. And that does seem like a lot, but I promise you all, it's not that bad. And it's a lot of fun, and I can't see myself like leaving that daycare setting. There's days though where I'm like, get me out of here. I don't want to be in here. But for the most part, it's very manageable, and that being in that setting sparked my passion for dog training even more.
That's awesome. I'm excited. And so now you have been assisting in our agility classes, which are taught by Jill. You've been doing that. This is going into your third series almost, right? Because you did the one kind of assisted in the one that we had before the new year, and then we took a break for holidays. We're back in it, and then you guys are about to graduate your second series. So it's been about like 12-ish weeks, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have a passion and a drive to get into a little bit more of dog training, correct?
Yeah, especially the like sport side of dog training. So like something else I'm super passionate about is nose work and scent work and those types of things. So, yeah.
So for everyone that's listening that lives in San Antonio, it's thanks to Dom that we're about to have some scent work classes in the near future, and some other fun stuff. I've been working and kind of talking to all my team of trainers. We have the biggest team of trainers that we've ever had in the history of Pup and Away. Very excited because everyone on the team really wants to flourish into something that's a little bit different than what I have provided in the past. So if you guys are interested in more dog training classes, like really cool things are happening at Pup that I'm really excited about. So today what I wanted to bring Dom on for is for us just to kind of have a nice conversation. We definitely align on a lot of things, obviously. We have the same certifications. We have pretty similar background when it comes to holistic and nutrition advice. But maybe there's a couple of things that maybe we don't fully agree on. And my biggest thing that I love doing in this podcast is not putting you guys, the listeners, in an echo chamber. I really love to bring you guys science and studies, and to really bring you guys different perspectives, not just from professionals that teach me, but also, some of the information that I gather together. So I asked Dom to bring 3 to 5 topics that he was curious about what my take was, or he just kind of wanted to voice and kind of just converse about. And I also have 3 to 5 topics as well. So with that, Dom, go ahead and present your first topic, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll move on to mine, and we'll take turns.
Okay, I like it. The first one I have written down is a little bit of a controversial one, but I'm curious to hear your take on it. And it is, because I get this question a lot, and it is raw pet food the best diet I can be feeding to my pet?
I love that one. Okay, so is raw food the best? If I were to do things in general terms, yes, because I always like to go for the least processed food that might be comfortable for that pet parent and that dog. However, just like everything else, it depends. Sully, for example, is 16, and he was traditionally on kibble when he was growing up, and then I got him on raw, and we were on raw for a good 5-6 years, and then I just recently transitioned him over to gently cooked because he's 16 years old, so his little digestive system is like struggling a little bit. He also had what I think was like a little pancreatic flare. It was never officially diagnosed, but he is doing much better on a gently cooked diet. And Rishi is still mostly on raw. The reason why I say mostly is because I tried a couple of things gently cooked for Sully that didn't work for him. So if it wasn't working for him, I was like, let me try giving it to Rishi. She did fine with it. So there are some times where she is on a gently cooked, but he just does better on a gently cooked more than raw. So I think it definitely depends. But if I were definitely to speak in generalities, I probably would push raw a little bit more. What about you? Because our certification is all about gently cooked.
Yeah, I think I kind of agree with you. Like, if I like going for least processed, and a less processed diet is going to be raw because it's just in its raw natural state. And we'll talk about what that means in my next question. But I think it also depends on what you're looking for. I know some people are like super squeamish and they're like, oh my God, raw seems kind of crazy. Can my dog really handle raw? And yes, your dog can handle raw. But if you're uncomfortable with that, I think your next best step is gently cooked.
Yeah.
Because I'm all about just whole fresh foods in the diet, whether that be raw, whether they be gently cooked, freeze dried even. I don't know where I stand on air dried quite yet, but I would say if you're down to do raw, do raw. I'm always going to try to push raw, but if you're a little bit skeptical, it's fine to do gently cooked too.
Yeah. I have a client right now that I'm working with, hired me for behavioral reasons, but I'm looking at this dog and I could just see like his skin is just itchy, red, spotty. He's sitting there licking, scratching. And I turned to Dad and I was like, can I ask you about nutrition and like what you're doing for that? And he goes into this whole spiel that I won't get into. but he's tried all the things. He has done Cytopoint and Apoquil at the same time. Yeah, crazy. And nothing's really working for him. And so I was like, would you mind if I took a crack at a couple of things and suggested a couple of stuff? And he was like, yeah, because our next step is to go to a full-ass dermatologist. And so maybe there's a couple of things that you can suggest that I haven't tried. And sure enough, the things that I'm going to suggest are not really the things that the vet is looking to recommend. But when I got on the conversation of food, he's open-minded, but he also has his boundaries. He's like, I'm just not willing to cook for my dog because I don't even cook for myself. And I said,
Yeah.
fair enough, girl, same. It took a lot for me to get to cooking for myself. And so, we talked about maybe commercial options, but that just really wasn't in the budget for him. So for him, I was like, let's talk about a better kibble, because he was feeding Purina. And if anyone has listened to any of my nutrition content, Purina is one of the three that I'm like, no, thank you. So we got him to switch over to a better kibble. And now we're talking about adding in some whole food options into the bowl. And if that's the closest that I can take that pet parent, because that's their personal boundary, then okay. And then maybe you'll warm up a little bit later, and then we'll have more conversations. So yeah, I think it always depends on what you got going on too with the client that you have in front of you.
Yeah, because feeding raw is not cheap by any stretch of the imagination.
Especially if you got a big dog. You got, what, 3 small, medium dogs?
Yeah, and so the Boston Terrier, he eats gently cooked. I cook for him because for whatever reason, the raw was just not working. Tried transitioning him as slowly as possible. I even tried doing it myself. I then tried commercial raw, and nothing was working for him. So I was like, you know what? To make all of our lives easier, we're just going to cook for you.
Yeah.
My pug, I literally DIY his thing every single day, which is time consuming. And there's days where I'm like, I don't want to do this. I would just love to scoop, serve, and move on.
Yeah.
And then my Border Collie Blue Heeler mix, she is on raw, but I do conventional raw for her. So I just rotate the brands.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, no.
Commercial, not conventional.
On the table food. So you do 3 completely different things. There you have one kiddo who is gently cooked. I'm guessing you're doing Dr. Ruth's crock pet diet for the Boston.
I rotate in that, and then I just formulate my own diets for him, and I do those from time to time too.
Gotcha. And then you have your pug who is doing more feed reel style, what they taught in the feed reel, kind of DIY raw. And then you have your Border Collie, who's on a commercial rotation of raw. Every dog deserves something different. And I mean, how great would it be if they can all eat the same thing? But shoot. I mean, me and my husband don't even like to eat all the same things all the time. So how can I expect my dogs to do that?
Right.
Okay, my next one, or my first one, but the next topic of conversation. I'm curious at how you feel about all these things, but the idea that every meal needs to be complete and balanced. How do you feel about that statement?
I think so I had this conversation with a friend of mine, funny enough, who's not a nutritionist, but kind of is interested in that stuff.
Okay.
And I said, and this is how I feel for me personally, every pet parent, totally different. But for me personally, every meal for my dogs is complete and balanced because I'm lazy. I don't want to have to balance over time. Not that I'm against it or that I think it can't be done. For me personally, I'm just too lazy to do it. So for me, all of my meals for my dogs have to be complete and balanced. But for you or any other pet parent, no, totally doesn't have to be. As long as you make sure the dog is getting those nutrients over the course of a week, then totally fine with that. But if you're lazy like me, just make it complete and balanced from the rip.
Yeah. I really hate complete and balanced.
Really?
You spit out your drink.
Really?
Yes. I mean, I think it has I think it's important because when you're asking people to put together their own recipes, there's a lot of dogs who are not getting the nutrition that they need long term, and that has huge detriments, right? And just because you found that recipe online does not mean that it is gonna be working for your dog long term. But one of my biggest things that I really like to do, and you're kind of already practicing this, is just rotating, right? Not to feed the same thing for forever. That's really how we get intolerances and sensitivities to build up. But like, I don't eat from a spreadsheet. Like, not every one of my meals is complete and balanced. Though, do I wish that every single one of my meals was complete and balanced? Maybe, right? Like, I think that my nutrition would be way off the charts if someone cared about my nutrition the way that I care about my dog's nutrition. But I also think that when parents are coming into this space of gently cooked or raw or just off kibble, it's so scary for them. And some people are really comforted by the fact that, you know, this meets every single thing. And some people like that, right? Some people just want to know that it gives them peace of mind that every single one of those check boxes has been ticked for their dog. But yet for some people, I can just see like the fear in their eyes, and I'm like, just slow down. Like, it is okay if you missed a little bit of a nutrient in this for a little while, right? And so, and kind of going off to your point too, it does kind of add more to it, because now I have to look at things on a little bit of a bird's eye view scale to make sure that that dog is getting a little bit of everything that they need. But, and a couple of other things that we'll talk about a little bit later is like, but where is this nutrient coming from, right? And another thing too is just because that one meal is complete and balanced, then you start to give your dog all kinds of other treats and stuff, which if we're talking, then I guess let's kind of, for the listeners, explain what complete and balanced means. Because it's just, I think a lot of people think it's kind of, and it is kind of a marketing term, but complete means it has all the nutrients that it needs, right? Balanced means there are certain nutrients that need to go in certain ratios with others. For example, was it calcium and phosphorus?
Phosphorus,
right? When you jack up calcium, phosphorus gets super jacked up, and like there's this really balancing act that kind of has to happen there. And that's what the balance part means. And so I know that you deal a lot with your animal diet formulator, right?
Yeah.
I played around with that one time, and it was amazing how when you just change one nutrient, like six or seven of them.
Six other things go off. Yeah.
So how do you balance how do you kind of go through creating recipes for your clients that are complete and balanced?
Yeah, so I usually ask, like when I'm working with a client, I usually ask, are there certain things you like absolutely want in here? So like if a client comes to me and they want just nutrition stuff and they want me to make them a recipe that's complete and balanced, on my little like intake form is like, what foods does your dog love? And those are usually things like, they'll be like, oh my God, my dog loves sweet potato, or my dog loves beef, or this or that. And then I add those things in first, or I ask them if they skip it, because most people skip it because they're like, everything. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't help me. So I'll ask, like, is there anything you want in here specifically? And then I start with those things, and then I like load everything in later. Because if I add, like, for example, like chicken or turkey or any poultry, none of my clients want to use duck because it's hard to source a duck, but duck too, like that already meets my alpha liolinic acid requirement in the recipe. So like I don't have to worry about that. And then I just fill it in the back half with like, okay, now I'm missing, you know, vitamin D or vitamin E or this or that. And then it's like, okay, I kind of know what foods give those nutrients. So then I just load those things in there. But I always make sure that it's something my clients can easily get their hands on too. Because I don't want to say, like, for zinc, I always use oysters. And I don't want to give it to them and then they're like, well, I made it, but I didn't use the oysters because I couldn't get my hands on oysters. Because then I'd rather know that before you start feeding that to your dog. Because if you're not going to do the balance over time, now your dog's missing a key nutrient for God knows how long. Because I've had clients come to me like 3 months later, and they're like, I've been feeding this for 3 months, but I never used the oysters because I couldn't find them. And I'm like, that's 3 months without any zinc. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So
Zinc was one of the hardest ones that I found to balance. Like, oysters definitely took care of it the majority of the time, but even still, I was always missing like 0.025 zinc. And then at that point, I'm like, well, what? That's not going to kill my dog.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to kill your dog.
And so it's the pressure of like, it has to be complete and balanced for me that sometimes I think is a little over daunting. So I do like the idea of rotating over time a little bit more. But again, if my client, feels better with every single one of those things being neatly checked off on that spreadsheet, that's what I'm going to give them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm surprised that you were surprised by that.
I was really surprised, but I love that we talked about it a little bit. So now I'm like, okay, I can see your thinking behind it. Because it's kind of crazy when you just hear I'm against balance I'm against complete imbalance. It's like, what?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist when it comes to consumerism and corporations and things like that. And I think that complete and balanced, while maybe it started off with good intentions, it just has a chokehold on pet parents, and how much of that is a marketing thing. Like, nothing else that we buy is complete and balanced.
Balanced, yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever read, I love bringing up this quote, and I should master it because I talk about it so much. Did you ever read Dr. Connor Brady's Feeding Dogs book? Mm-hmm. Okay. There was one quote that he said in there that was like, the corporations of the dog food should really go speak to the idiots over at NASA because they have feed a complete and balanced meal. Like, what? It's so. And then do you mind if I move on to another one of mine, because I think it kind of
go for it.
So I'm gonna double dip here. Because again, where are these nutrients coming from? If you look at the back of a dog food bag, there's a shit ton of ingredients in there that are all synthetic vitamins and minerals. And so we are achieving this complete and balanced thing with synthetic vitamins and minerals. So, Dom, how do you feel about synthetic vitamins and minerals?
I hate them. I'd rather get I'll give a little caveat. I hate them. The only vitamin that I would be okay with it being a synthetic in pet food is vitamin E, because it's very hard to get vitamin E from a whole food source to match that complete and balance. To get enough vitamin E from a whole food source to meet the requirements for a dog is very hard. So if I looked at a bag of kibble, for example, and everything was coming from whole food, and then it was here's my synthetic vitamin E, I'd be like, I can live with that. But I hate them because our dogs can't process those synthetic vitamins and minerals. I just don't get why. Well, I do get why, because I worked in advertising and I totally get that whole side of things. You got to be a little cheap at times, and it's so much cheaper to do synthetic vitamins and minerals than it is to source it from whole foods. But I hate them.
I completely agree. I think it's really hard for our dog's body and our body too. I mean, if you've ever taken vitamins, I have a favorite supplement cocktail that I take before I go I drink, because it helps me not have a hangover the next morning. So it works really well. But I like to joke that I pee I call it Ninja Turtle green, because it's just this vibrant color. My body is just I don't know what to do with that, and just gets rid of it almost right away. And so I just wonder how much of those synthetic vitamins and minerals, again, it's checking off a box so that way Purina and everyone else can stick that complete and balanced thing, that little, that little marker on the bag. But when it goes into our dog system and they're not knowing what to do with it, getting rid of it, storing it into these things that eventually become fatty lipomas over time, depending if it's water soluble or fat soluble, And then we still see dogs with all kinds of nutrient deficiencies or even toxicities because of all these synthetic vitamins and minerals in, these bags of food. I think my even bigger pet peeve is when I see gently cooked foods with a long list of vitamins and minerals. You had the opportunity
Yeah.
great things and you did mediocre things there.
Yeah. Gently cooked foods drive me insane because I'm like, you're using whole food ingredients for majority of this list because the ingredient list is like this long. And I'm like, why do you just load it in with these synthetic vitamins and minerals? You could have just kept going down the list of okay, whole food sources. So that drives me insane. And another thing that I think is crazy is AFCO's standards for these vitamins, minerals, and things to make it complete and balanced is absurdly too. Some vitamins and minerals are absurdly too high, in my opinion, and some are absurdly too low, in my opinion. So, when I formulate diets, I use FEDIAF standards, which is Europe's version of AFCO. I forgot what all that stands for, but it's basically just Europe's version of AFCO. And I feel more comfortable with their values of specific vitamins and minerals versus AFCO's because sometimes they're way too high and sometimes they're way too low. So I think here in America, at least, for the kibble companies and other conventional brands that use those synthetic vitamins and minerals, it's just crazy because I agree with you, Steph. They're just doing it to check boxes, and I wonder if we'll ever get to a point where we can make it less we're just checking boxes to sell more product.
Yeah.
And we're doing it for the betterment of our pets.
Yeah. And there are companies that are out there that have that philosophy. I mean, Evermore is one of my favorite ones to talk about. Goodness gracious too, but I think in the way that the podcast comes out, Hannah is the co-founder of Evermore, and we just had her on the podcast. No synthetic vitamins and minerals. She tries to go for, grass-fed, responsibly raised, supporting regenerative farms. That company is just doing a really amazing things from a bird's eye view again, and in the details as well. It's freaking pricey, but it depends on, I guess, where your priorities lie as a consumer and someone who, can vote with their dollars. But yeah, synthetic vitamins and minerals, I hate.
Yeah, I hate them. I don't, like I said, I get why companies use them, but it still just mind boggles me that it's the standard.
Yeah. We're just at that point, you really are just trying to keep your bottom line low to increase margins there. And I get it, I run a business, but at the same time, I got my principles, and if you got into making dog food for the betterment of dogs, then that should be your top priority. But
right, yeah,
not everybody's. All right, what's your next topic?
My next one, kind of like I said, was a segue into what we were talking about with my first one, which is raw is completely in its natural raw state.
Okay.
But this has been popping up all over my social media feed, so I was like, oh, this will be an interesting one to talk about. Is HPP bad?
Is HPP bad? So for those listeners, HPP is high pressurized pasteurization, and it is a way to kill off some of the bacteria in raw food to make it safe, quote unquote safer, for consumers to handle. Okay. And then how do they do it? They put their food in the plastic bag that it's going to be distributed in, so in the packaging, and then they hit it with a very high pressure tonnage of water. And no heat's involved, and so the idea
Yeah.
here is like the pressure like pretty much pulverizes the bad bacteria.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add about HPP?
No, well, it kills the bad bacteria, but I don't know. Like Billy Hokeman from Green Juju says it doesn't kill the good bacteria, but
Yeah.
I've seen some other pet food companies say it does kill the good bacteria.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I have a love-hate relationship with HPP. I think that it makes raw feeding a little more digestible for the human consumer. Therefore, maybe it can kind of open their eyes up a little bit more to the potential of feeding raw. It's kind of how I feel about like Caesar Milan. Like I don't like the guy, but thanks to him, people like dog training became popular because it was on TV. You know, like I don't love his principles, but I like
Yeah.
that he opened the doors for dog training to be something that people are very open to. So I think HPP really kind of does that as far as when people are thinking about feeding raw or choosing for the first time to feed raw. But my little purist heart probably leans further away from it as a standardized practice. I think that I would like to see more actual data and studies to show what is being killed and what is not being killed. Because, I mean, bad bacteria, our dogs can handle that, you know, like, and I've always said from the very beginning that I'm not going to feed my dog something that's better for me. I'm feeding my dog something that's better for them. So I'm not scared of any sort of bacteria because I'm also, you know, a pretty smart person who's going to wash my hands and sanitize bowls and countertops and things like that. So, but I know that is a very good controversial topic. How do you
Yeah.
feel about HPP?
I think what you said is right. I want to see more studies to see what's actually being killed. Is the good
Yeah.
bacteria also being killed? If so, I'm against it.
Yeah.
If it's not being killed off, then I think it goes back to what I said in the very beginning, which is like, if that's better for you as the pet parent, if you're more comfortable with feeding raw because you know it doesn't have, you know, salmonella, E. coli, listeria, and all those things because it's been HPP'd, then go for the brands that HPP, and that's totally fine by me.
Yeah.
But for me specifically, I think I have a love-hate relationship with it too. I think for me, because for Maggie, my border collie, I feed her just like rotations of brands. So I feed her Almost Pride, I feed her Green Juju, I feed her Small Batch, all raw. And I know Small Batch HPPs, I know Green Juju HPPs. Almost Pride doesn't HPP, but they have a kill step, which is different than HPP. So when I feed Green Juju and I feed Small Batch, I always add a probiotic to her food. So that
Okay.
way, if the good bacteria truly has died off, then she's getting some of that good bacteria back into her gut
Okay.
through eating the food. Now, when I feed her Omas, I don't, because they don't HPP. They use a kill step, which is bacteriophages, which
Okay.
is the same process that they do for smoked salmon and beef tartare.
Okay.
So it literally just targets, so it says in the studies that I've seen, it just targets the bad pathogens, so the E. coli, listeria, salmonella, and everything else remains there. I feel better about not adding probiotics when I feed her Omas because I'm like, okay, surely it's just the pathogens that have been killed off and not that like good bacteria.
Yeah. And I think, again, that's great critical thinking when it comes to what it is that you're feeding and then finding those compromises because Small Batch and Green Juju especially, one of my favorite brands ever,
Love 'em.
right? Love them. I cannot wait we got to put a plug in for Fetch and Frisker's
Oh yeah.
the end of this. But yeah, I can't wait to meet Billy at that event because I've never met the man. But I forgot where I was going with that. I got really excited to talk about the wellness summit that's actually happening in close by to home. Yeah, I mean, I think it's such a new process also, as far as it just kind of got introduced into the industry for us to really, really, really know what exactly is the result of using it. But dang, that was a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. It's my turn. Oh, okay. Fun one. Still kind of controversial, possibly. The idea that dogs should be intermittently fasting.
Ooh. I'm against it.
Ooh, okay.
I'm against it. I don't think they need to be doing it.
Okay.
Like, I've seen that pop up on my social lately too. That's been a hot topic lately. And at least from what I see on social, it's you need to do this for your pet. And if you're not doing this for your pet, you're doing it all wrong. And I'm against it completely.
Okay.
But I'm especially against it when people are like, you need to be doing it. You don't need to be doing it.
I hear that.
What's your take on it? Because I'm curious.
I am open-minded to it. I do not intermittently fast
Yeah.
for my dogs because Sully would literally kill me in my sleep if I did that to him. So I think it depends on the dog. However, I have tried intermittent fasting for myself, and I know that a lot of people who have tried it, they had really great results doing it. For me, and when I went to go talk to, I don't know if she was a dietitian nutritionist, she was, some sort of wellness coach or whatever for humans. She was like, you already are under so much stress by owning your business and having so many employees and blah, blah, blah. You work out, you do all these things. Your body is already under so much stress that you're putting your body even under more stress by doing, oh my God, I got a baby in the camera. This one's,
Hi, say hi.
This one's Maggie. No, this one's not Maggie.
This one's Taz.
Taz. Hi, Taz.
Because he's crazy.
He's a little Tasmanian devil. So when I kind of looked at that in a lens for myself, I was like, okay, maybe intermittent fasting is not the best thing for me, therefore may not be the best thing for every single dog. I don't think that people need to do it as a routine practice, but I do think it is important to listen to the dog that you have in front of you when they are telling you that they need to do some intermittent fasting. So, if your dog has had the runs for a couple of days, maybe they do need to do some intermittent fasting there because their body needs to kind of catch up in digesting whatever the heck is left in their body, or take the pressure off of the body's energy system, not to use any energy for digesting, but to help repair and let the immune system take over and have a little bit more energy reserved for, healing purposes. Or also when people are like, my dog hasn't eaten in, so many hours. I'm like, that's okay. Your dog is again telling you that they need a little bit of a break. If they're not feeling well, you don't want to eat sometimes when you're not feeling well. And I think that it can have its, benefits, but I don't think, I certainly don't practice and I don't preach intermittent fasting on a routine basis, but I know some people do it once a week at least.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know. I don't think it should be done every single day the way that people, if they do a 12-6, you fast for 12 hours and you only eat for 6 hours. I don't think that's really great for our dogs, but I think I'm open-minded to considering that if every once in a while, intermittent fasting perhaps.
I will say I have done it only if, for example, if this one right here or any of them, if they just have the most horrendous bout of diarrhea, then I will intermittent fast them. But if that's not going on, I usually just don't do it. I think you have to look at the dog in front of you and see what's going on, and if it would benefit them in that given moment. Because
Yeah.
this, actually, all of my dogs would murder me if I did it. Like,
That's
this
a good
one loves to eat. My pug loves to eat. Maggie, I might be able to get away with it with her. She does love to eat, but I think less food motivated than this one and then the pug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also like intermittent fasting can definitely feel uncomfortable, and unless like you're doing it yourself, so you understand what is happening. I think our dogs like I don't know if this actually is benefiting you, or if I'm just
Yeah.
making you super uncomfortable and then creating another issue, because I mean dogs can also get hangry, like so I for me, because there's that lack of communication between me and my dog, if I did try it, I don't know if it would be something that I would continue, because I don't know. I can't ask you, how does this make you feel?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I am with that.
I like it.
Do you have another one, or did we cover your 3?
I have one more, yeah.
Oh, okay, let's hit it.
And I'm curious I feel like we'll have different opinions on this one too, but is it okay to serve fresh food straight from the fridge? Like,
Ooh.
you pull it out of the fridge, throw it in the bowl, and then serve it right away.
Yeah. I almost put this on my list too. Is it okay?
Yeah.
Yes. Is it something that you possibly should consider not doing if you have the time? Yes. So
Ooh, I
me and
like
my
it.
dogs, yeah. Again, it kind of just depends on you. And for the listeners, the reason why this is a topic of conversation here, a lot of holistic practitioners think that feeding cold food, like the temperature is cold, not the energetics, the temperature of it is cold, straight from the fridge, like Dom mentioned, is not good for digestion. So it should be warmed up in some sort of way, gently, whether it's leaving it out on the counter for a little while to kind of let it get down to room temperature, or a lot of people like to do like a little bit of like some warm water mixed into the dog food, again, to bring that temperature down a little bit. I think that if it's going to stop you from feeding raw, don't care about it. Because I don't think that it makes that much of a difference for that to be a soapbox that I get on top of. I've tried kind of playing around with it a little bit, because Rishi, she is a very burpy girl. Like after she eats, she's burpy, but she also is doing like a lot of licking, so she's also getting a lot of air. And so I've kind of tested a couple things with her to see if I do let her cold food kind of warm up to room temperature, if that would give any sort of benefit. And it didn't. She was still burpy, and she might be burpy for other reasons, right? Besides just the food's cold.
Yeah.
But then you also have to wonder, like, okay, if I do let it sit out, how long should I let it sit out for? Because especially if it's raw, am I creating a more pathogenic environment, and I'm creating more pathogens than when I'm feeding it? So to me, it's not, I don't think it makes that big of a difference for you to truly care if it doesn't feel right for you.
Yeah.
What about you? What do you think about it?
I think if you have the time to let it like come up to room temperature, so whether you want to do like a hot water bath or leave it out on the counter for a little bit, definitely do it. But I agree with you. If it's going to hinder you from feeding raw, gently cooked, whatever, don't do it. Because I realize, like I said, there's days where I'm like making this meal for my pug and throwing all these little ingredients in here where I'm like, I wish I could just scoop, serve, and move on with the rest of my day.
Yeah.
So I get it. Like, some pet parents are very much like, I don't want to feed raw because it seems hard, because you got to like throw in all those ingredients. You totally don't have to. Maggie, my border collie, literally just throw it in the bowl, mash it up a little bit, move on. It's as easy as serving any other food. But what I do is I used to do the hot water bath thing for like 10 minutes. I would get like some warm water, put it in a bigger bowl, and then put their bowl inside of that and leave it for 10 minutes and then serve it. Now what I do is first thing in the morning, after I get myself together and after I have breakfast, I will get their food together and leave it on the counter, covered up with aluminum foil, which I don't think is probably making it any less pathogenic, but I like to think it is. I like to
It gives
think
you
the
peace of
aluminum
mind.
foil. Yeah, I like to think it's covered. There's not going to be any creepy crawlies growing in there. Um, and then I like walk all of my dogs. And then
Okay.
as soon as I come home, throw it down, and then they just devour it.
Okay.
But there have been times where I've just been like, I literally just don't have time. Like,
Yeah.
I don't have time to let it sit here. Like, I need to get this in the bowl, serve it to you all, and then run out the door to do what I've got to do.
Yeah.
And I haven't noticed any differences. Like, maybe it is slowing their digestion when it's freshly cold like that, but I feel like I would be seeing other signs that
Yeah.
I wouldn't normally see. But for the most part, on those days, they're totally fine. Like,
Yeah.
and the next morning, still totally fine. Like, no, not burpy, not like straining to poop, or don't have loose stools and things like that. So
Yeah.
if you have time, like I said, my vote would be don't serve it straight out of the fridge. Let it get to room temperature somehow, some way.
Yeah.
But if you don't, or if you just don't want to do it, that's fine too.
Don't
Just
kill yourself doing it. Yeah.
yeah, don't kill yourself doing it.
And it kind of hurts me to say that and have that opinion because two of my favorite people are very, very like let it warm down.
Yeah.
Rita Hogan, love her. She's very much a proponent of that. And Dr. Judy Morgan, like I've heard the two of them say it so many times that like, don't feed your dog cold food, don't feed your dog cold food. And I'm like, yeah, I'm still gonna do that one.
Yeah.
It's still probably gonna happen. So yeah, that is a very interesting one because I don't know. I don't think
Yeah.
there's enough information for me to be like, yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we've been saying is like look at the dog in front of you. Like if you realize if you want to like A/B test it and you're like, all right, I'm gonna serve it cold for a week and then serve it
Yeah.
room temp for a week. If you notice when you're serving it cold, like your dog is gassier, burpier, or loose stools all of a sudden out of nowhere, then I would say probably for you, even if you don't have time, like you got to bring that thing up to room temp because something is not going right when
Yeah.
you're serving it cold. But I think in our cases, like our dogs, we haven't seen anything different or abnormal. So it's like, why stress about it?
Yeah, I like that routine that you have. You get their meals ready, you let it sit, then you take their mind off of it by going for a walk or doing whatever with them, and then when they come back, it's doing the protocol, but also not adding in another step into your system. You're just changing the order in which you're doing stuff, which is cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one more, and this actually
Okay.
just came to me while we were talking. The idea of half and half food, like half and half meals. So whether we're doing kibble for one meal and then maybe a gently cooked or raw for a different meal, or if we're actually layering an actual meal to be 50-50. Some people are like, you should not do that because the pH system of the stomach is different to digest kibble versus what it has to be to digest gently cooked or raw. So therefore you should not do a half and half. What do you think about that?
I don't agree with it. And I do understand, like, yes, the pH is different for digesting those two different things. But that to me is like, for humans, like the pH that it takes to digest like a steak is totally different than what it is when you need to digest like a salad. So in
Exactly.
my mind, does that mean you can't have steak and a side of salad at dinner? No, you can totally eat steak and salad together, and your body's going to figure it out, even though it's going to have to figure out, okay, I have to digest this steak a little bit differently than I have to digest this salad. Like, it's totally fine to do. And yeah, what do you think?
That was super simple because that's exactly how I feel about it too. Like,
Yeah.
and again, if that's where I can take the pet parent, and that's the only way that I can get some fresh foods into that dog's diet by doing a little bit here and a little bit there, a 50-50, I'm going to take what I can as, you know, their person that's coaching them through this. So I think that it's better to do that than not. Now, of course, do I completely wish that we can get kibble out of there? Yeah, but not for that reason. It's going to be more because, you know, I want to completely elevate your practice, not kind of just do a little bit whatever. But, you know, again, I'll take that wherever the pet parent will meet me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that one was the easy one then. Shoot.
That one was an easy one.
Yeah, but people get like really up in arms about that.
Yeah, that one's a hot one. And I, like I said, I get where people are coming from. And yes, the pH is different to digest it. But like I think people get it a little bit more when you relay it to like humans and us.
Yeah.
Like our pH is different for digesting, like I said, a steak versus a salad. So like, am I going to like jump on top of a hill in my soapbox and say, don't eat steak with salad? Like, no, you can totally eat steak and salad together. And like I said, your body's going to figure it out.
Yeah,
Your
exactly.
body's smart enough to figure that out.
And again, that kind of just goes back to the critical thinking. Just because you heard it online, like really think about what it is that those reasonings that they're giving you to practice that. And, you know, do some critical thinking for yourself to figure out that might be kind of dumb. Or that actually just really resonates with me. And yes, I will take that on.
Yeah.
You do it.
Yeah. And like we've been saying this entire podcast, like, look at the dog in front of you. Like, nothing is going to change if you're feeding kibble with raw or you're feeding kibble with gently cooked. But who knows? Maybe when you do it, you notice your dog, you know, I don't know, has diarrhea or, you know, burps more, or farts more, whatever. Like, then make your own decision there. But it's probably not because you're feeding kibble with raw or kibble with gently cooked or whatever the combo is there.
Yeah.
There might be something underlying going on there.
It's not always that easy of a thing to find. You got to go through a few more layers to figure it out usually.
Yeah.
All right, very good. Well, Dom, you also work at Fetch and Fiskers or Friskers? I feel
Friskers.
Like Friskers. Fetch and Friskers. Tell us about what Fetch and Friskers is, and then their really cool summit coming up, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so Fetch and Friskers is a holistic-minded pet store in Boerne, Texas, so not too far from San Antonio. But we have a wellness summit coming up in June, and we're inviting some of the industry's leading professionals. So Billy Hokeman from Green Juju will be there. Carter from CBD Dog Health, who I think has been on your podcast before. He'll be there. I cannot wait to talk to him and pick his brain on all things CBD.
That's awesome.
Dr. Linda Loudon. Yeah, Rita Hogan. And one more. I don't know her name off the top of my head, but I know she's from Solutions.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wish I had the flyer with me. But
Yeah,
I will
I know.
put there's a link online. I will find the URL and I will link that in the show notes. But I'm super excited for that. I think this is like the first. I'm very jealous. Like, I wish I did it before they did, but I'm happy to support. And one day we'll be giving them a run for their money as far as also hosting a wellness conference or something.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'm super happy to help them, you know, get that started, because I think this is the first time that anything remotely close to Texas is something's coming.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that. And then, Dom, you also do take on clients as well. So tell the listeners how they can learn more about your services and where they can find you as far as social medias and things like that if they want to get in contact.
Yeah, so I am also a certified holistic pet health coach, and I work with clients to help them improve their pet's overall wellness, whether that be through just nutrition or through exercise, herbal remedies, and things like that. So whatever you're looking for and whatever you feel like you need for your pet, definitely reach out. My website is dwpethealthcoaching.com, and that's also where you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook.
Perfect. And I'll also be linking those things in the show notes as well. So that way it's super easy for the listeners to go and click on things and find you. Dom, I think I've had a lot of really impressive people on this podcast, but I think that was my favorite conversation to have had. So thank you for joining us. And I think we might have to do this again, but talking more about like holistic practices instead of just nutrition. That would also be a fun topic.
Yeah, I'd love to come back and talk more. This was great. Thank you for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. All right, listeners, we will catch you guys on the next episode. And if you're interested, if you guys want to get to know Dom, highly recommend. And you can meet him not only through his pet health coaching, but you can also meet him at Pup and Away too, because I poached him shamelessly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, listeners, we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Adios.
All right. Bye, guys.
Now, that might be the end of the episode, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Follow us on social media. I'd love to connect with you. We have quite a few social media platforms. For nutrition and holistic pet care tips, follow me on TikTok and Instagram at Steph the Pro Dog Mom. You can find fun training tips on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram at Pup and Away SA. If you're in San Antonio and you want to bring your dog to us for boarding, training, socialization, and nutrition, come find us. But if you're not in San Antonio, we do training and nutrition sessions virtually. Yes, they can be just as effective, I promise. Please rate, review, and subscribe to my podcast on whatever platform you listen on. And please, please, please share with a friend. The positive reinforcement of knowing people actually listen to this and find it valuable helps motivate me to keep on recording. We'll see you guys at the next episode.